Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Simone Chandel, and I'm actually head of events at Women in Mining UK. And a big thank you to our colleagues from MinSouth who have kindly organized today's wonderful presentation on blockchain in mining. Now, obviously, as you know, we have a few housekeeping points to run through. We are recording today's event, as Colin said, so do feel free to look back for the replay link on either the MinSouth website or with us at Women in Mining. Your mics have currently been turned off. Obviously, when we go to ask a question, please feel free to ask your question via the chat button, which is actually at the top of your screen. And do reach out and send us your questions. The presentation will be done in 3 sections, so we will be asking questions after each section. And it gives me great pleasure now to introduce you to our speaker, Tanya Matveeva. She's director and geologist at Kamni Chain Ltd. And Tanya is an experienced geologist who is focused on connecting the mining industry with developers of blockchain technology and is interested in all things disruptive to make mining better. She started with BHP in Russia, Kazakhstan, and Australia, and then worked in Canada and later in several African countries. She's worked for major and junior mining companies, the Alberta Geological Survey, mining consultancies, and is now leading her own consultancy firm, Kamni Chain Ltd, based here in the UK. She works with large data sets in mineral exploration, and this has taught her respect for good data management practices. And since learning about blockchain technology, has realized the transformational potential of blockchain. She now focuses her work on blockchain in the mining space. Tanya, it's an absolutely incredible resume, and thank you for joining us this evening and sharing your expertise with us. I know blockchain is an absolute mystery to me, so every time I hear something on blockchain, I learn just that little bit more. So I'm going to hand over to you to start us off.
Great, thank you very much, Eamon, for this great introduction. I'm going to start by sharing my screen right away. So, I'm Tanya Matveeva. I'm a geologist with most of my career spent in mineral exploration and in mining, but today I'll be talking to you about blockchain. I feel I need to explain how I became a blockchain enthusiast. In my work, I worked a lot with data sets, such as sample locations or assay results, with GIS data sets, with geophysical logs and 3D deposit models. So that taught me respect for good data management. While working in Canada on diamond exploration project, my responsibility was to manage all the data that came in from the field, from thousands of samples that contained tens of thousands of mineral indicator grains. And very quickly I realized that I cannot manage all these Excel spreadsheets that were flying at me. And I took time to organize a little Access database, my mighty powerful helper that allowed me to eliminate mistakes in my data set and to make sure that this all-important sample with its G10 garnet is not going missing on my map in the GIS system. I have to fess up, I don't have a great attention to detail, and it's actually not humanly possible when you receive thousands and thousands of data inputs to make sure that nothing is missing or something is wrong. Whereas once you set up the rules in the good relational database, it will do the job for you. So I became a big fan of the database for data management. So that was my step 1. My step 2 was when I was staying in London over Christmas break at the friend's house, and I pulled a book from the shelf. This is the book on big data. It shouldn't be upside down. And in this book, apart from all exciting stuff about big data and what it can do to us, there was a chapter on blockchain. And I right away became hooked because blockchain is one database to rule them all. and I started studying it. But fortunately, in my work, I am joined by a great team. Okay, by the way, before I go to the next slide, you can see this big pot with a blockchain borscht. Just hold that thought. We will come back to it at some point, I hope. So Kamni, by the way, means rocks in Russian. So we are rock chain. So I'm joined by this wonderful team of experienced, enthusiastic mining professionals. Gustavo Hamel is geologist and data analyst based in Amsterdam. Chris Welch is based here also in Kent, where I am. He is data scientist and runs his own consultancy on data analysis. And Dina Klementьeva joins us from Switzerland, where she studies for her PhD and helps us with the project management and also data analysis. Our SHA-256 hash starts with the letters FAB, which is incredible coincidence, which I think there must be some divine intervention. And we will learn what the hash is during my presentation, and you will understand how incredibly lucky this hash is. Our mission at Kamni Chain is to tell mining industry what the blockchain technology is, so that miners can see for themselves where they can use it, and we will help the miners to implement blockchain in their work. During my presentation today, I will do it in 3 parts. In the first part, I will explain what blockchain is. In the second part, I will diligently list where it is used in mining industry already. And in the third part, I will look into the future where I want blockchain to go in the mining industry. You want to stay with me for the first part because you will have an opportunity to ask me a question that for sure will stumble me, because that's the one that I approach with the greatest trepidation. You want to stay with me for the second part because in the end of the second part, I will actually have a live blockchain technology demonstration. And you want to stay with me for the third part because actually there will be a fairy tale in it. So I hope to keep your attention all the way. I will appreciate it is an evening time now. Okay. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is a database. It is a distributed database. What does it mean? So when I worked on my Canadian diamond exploration project, I had my own database that I managed. All the information came to me and I took care of everything, which means I could easily change anything I wanted in the database. And it would have been very hard to catch the mistake or even any foul play. So, but databases, of course, right now play a huge role in our lives. All our banks have databases, all airlines have databases, medical records, these are all databases, but they're all run by this central authority. Government, the bank, the lawyer, they keep this data and they make it secure. But of course, it's not always, right. And sometimes we hear of big problems that arise from such central authority that takes care of all our data. So in comes in blockchain, a distributed ledger. You probably have heard distributed ledger technology, DLT. So it is different from the centralized database in that they figured out a way, ingenious way, to keep exact same copy of the database on every computer that is connected in this blockchain platform network. So every computer has exact same copy of the database at all times, which means that it is impossible to cheat because all the other databases that have the correct copy will cry foul. I will gradually go into that in a bit more detail over the next slides, but that's the big difference. So there are three key mechanisms that allow blockchain to be like that, to be so magical. The first key mechanism is encryption. So all information is converted, and attached to it is a digital fingerprint. That's the picture of the fingerprint. So it's actually this fingerprint that is stored on the database, not the file itself, yeah, not the information itself. Second, the transaction of information from one party to another is also encrypted, okay? And the third element is the network. It is all the computers that are involved in the blockchain platform that make the blockchain that transformational technology that it is. Throughout my presentation, there are links to websites where you can find more information about it. So you can look through the recording, and there are links to where you can see things. So you probably have heard of blockchain revolution. So why is it such a revolution? Because it creates this single source of truth. Like I said, the same copy of the database on all computers. The transactions, the recording of the transaction is immutable. Nobody can falsify it at a later date. It creates privacy as never known before through this encoding mechanism, because you don't know what has been encoded. It's impossible to go back and figure that out. Basically, it elevates trust between parties to a level of mathematical algorithm. It takes it away from a central authority and gives it over to mathematics. So essentially, blockchain creates the world where it is practically impossible to lie without being caught. Before I go into further details on blockchain mechanisms, I want to make absolutely clear that here we're not talking about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Blockchain is not a Bitcoin. Blockchain is bigger than Bitcoin. Every cryptocurrency should run on blockchain. If it doesn't, it's a hoax. And unfortunately, that happened before. Maybe you have heard there was a BBC series on OneCoin. When they didn't have a blockchain, but they pretended that they had a digital currency. No, but blockchain is much more than just digital currency. The mechanisms that created blockchain actually were known for some years, like 10, 20 years, the ingredients of it, but they were all only pulled together relatively recently when some mysterious character, Satoshi Nakamoto, in 2009 published what's called a white paper, and nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. He published this white paper where he described the mechanism for transaction of value on this ledger from peer to peer without central authority. And then the Bitcoin was born. It took many years with Bitcoin currency to develop, but the thing with the Bitcoin platform, it is only good for Bitcoin exchange. You can't do anything else with the Bitcoin blockchain platform. It is not created to be manipulated to do anything else with it, this platform. So in 2014, a brilliant mind, Vitalik Buterin, a Russian-born and Canadian-bred mathematician, created Ethereum, which became a blockchain platform for smart contracts. Ethereum also is a cryptocurrency platform, but it is open source. Programmers can do other things with it. You can take Ethereum platform and you can create your own applications on it. So a lot of the users that I will be talking about later on, they are actually working on Ethereum blockchain platform. So let's start. The number one, I said, the key mechanism is encryption, the digital fingerprint. How does that work? Any file for a computer is just collections of ones and zeros, right? Be it an Excel spreadsheet or my JPEG map or a PDF document. For a computer, it's just a string of ones and zeros. So there is a mathematical process called hashing, where they basically convert all this, mysterious information into a string of 256 digits, ones and zeros. From there, they convert it further into just 64 digits that represent 32 bits. Doesn't matter to me how that works, but each of this final 64-digit string is unique to the original file. So remember, I mentioned to you that our hash at Kamni, our company name hash, is fab and then the string of numbers. So this is our hash. It is fun. I suggest you all go and search online SHA-256 hashing, and you can hash your name, you can hash a document, you can hash an Excel spreadsheet, anything you like, and you will get this digital fingerprint of any document. So the digital fingerprint is unique to the document, but it is not possible to decipher back what document it is. So this is what they use as a zero knowledge proof. You know it's this right document. It is this one, it has the same hash, but you don't know what it is. It is used in many applications, such for example now for vaccine rollout, whether you were vaccinated or not, they use blockchain for that. When the right authority, all they can know about you is that you've been vaccinated. They don't know who you are, they don't have any of your records, but they know if they have this record that you have been vaccinated. Okay, so there are many uses for this. It's a bit difficult to kind of process it. So this is the time for you to ask, after this part, the difficult questions, and I'm sure I'll not be able to answer them. But there you are. This is the hash. This is what it looks like, and this is the number one. Now, number two is not only the actual information, the files that go on blockchain are hashed, but the transition from the file from one user to another is also hashed. So the fact that this transition happened also has a hash attached to it. And every next transition contains the hash of the previous one. This way, it is not possible to change anything in the end of that chain without breaking the beginning. So this is why it is so secure. Okay, I hope that is somehow, more or less clear. So, okay. The color here is representing the increasing level of security, yeah? Okay. Now, a bit more on the kind of insides of the blockchain technology. In order to verify that all the transactions on this blockchain network are correct, the computers that are verifying these transactions need to do some work. For this work, they need to be rewarded. So this is what Bitcoin system originally suggested, is a proof of work system. So the computer verifies that the transactions submitted to the blockchain platform are correct. For that, this computer will be rewarded with some Bitcoin, with some money. Now, a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people want to verify. It's not difficult to verify the transaction. So all the computers want to do it. Which one will get paid so that there is no competition between the two different submissions? the ingenious suggestion by Satoshi Nakamoto was to add a very difficult cryptographic puzzle to that transaction block. So this computer now has not only to verify that all the transactions are correct, but it also has to solve this very difficult puzzle. And actually the difficulty of puzzle increases the more computers join the network. And the first one to solve the problem gets paid. And this is what causes the mining. You hear about huge costs of Bitcoin mining. This is mining. This is what they're actually doing. They're trying to solve this puzzle to get that block, to get the Bitcoin for their work. And of course, this is extremely wasteful because all these computers, which are now mega farms, mega computer farms, they all try to solve it. Only one will get the reward, and all the other computer power is just wasted in that. And it is so bad that you probably have heard today, Elon Musk decided that he will not be accepting Bitcoin for Tesla anymore because it's not environmentally friendly. In 2014, another way of solving this issue was suggested. It's called proof of stake. In a proof of stake mechanism, consensus mechanism, the reward, the Bitcoin, or it's not a Bitcoin, it will be like Ethereum or some other cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin, sorry. Bitcoin only works on proof of work. On a proof of stake mechanism, the reward, the payment, is randomly given to the computer that solves the block transaction. But so it's random. However, the more stake this particular computer has, the more they're prepared to invest in this cryptocurrency, the more chance they get to add the block and get the reward. So it doesn't. This way, you eliminate this huge waste of electricity. Nobody needs to solve the puzzle, so there is no high electricity cost associated with it. The problem is there is less decentralization. So the more power somebody has in the network, the richer they become, basically, and it creates a problem. If somebody gets 51% of the influence of a network, they can actually then influence the whole platform, and so it has its own problems anyway. But the important thing that in blockchain for enterprise, what I will be talking about here, not cryptocurrency, we don't need to worry about excessive spending of electricity, okay? It is not an issue for our blockchain applications. Okay, last bit on a blockchain technology particulars. There are public blockchains and there are private blockchains. The public blockchains are the ones on which cryptocurrencies are based: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Neo, Quorum. So this is one where everybody can participate. Everybody can open the wallet and participate. And then there are private blockchains like Hyperledger, Corda, Ripple, and you can see here Ethereum is in both sides already, because it is possible to create your own private pool within a public blockchain network. So this is also a possibility, and a lot of applications are using that. Okay, so public versus private. A lot of companies don't want to hear anything about public platforms. Sounds scary. They think the information is available to everybody, which is not true, but that's the fear. So for enterprise use, it often starts with a private blockchain. They can then consider joining the public because it is actually more secure, because the private blockchain doesn't have the same level of decentralization, because you have limited number of players, and so you limit the power of blockchain to be truly decentralized. Hope that makes sense. Okay, the third ingredient that I mentioned, key mechanism, is the power of network. So the more players are in the network, the more power this blockchain system has. So in our case, you want to have in your network, you want to have your mine, you want to have your logistics operator, you want to have your processor, you want to have your government, you want to have your bank, your insurer, your community. You want them all to have access to the information that they need from this mining process. Because the more players that are in the system, the more efficient it is in bringing this necessary single source of truth to all involved. Elevating trust between these different players to that level of mathematical algorithm. But of course, it has to start from one company. And this is the difficult bit with application of blockchain. Blockchain by its nature, it breaks the boundaries of the corporation. And so it's very hard for us to imagine, how will it work? We want to keep our data to ourselves. We give up the data, we give up the power. But the fact is, if this data needs to be accessed by two parties and these parties don't trust each other, the blockchain is the most efficient way of this data exchange. And I hope I'll be able to show it to you in the next section. So enterprise blockchain already is being used, of course, for payments. This is where blockchain, started, in cryptocurrencies for payments. It is widely used now in supply chain tracking. You probably have heard of your fair trade coffee or cotton. A lot of these applications use blockchain to track where the materials are coming from. Smart contracts, selling equipment, or even organizing complex contracts and payments within smart contracts, similar to SAP systems, but different because it is on a blockchain platform. And tokenizations, so selling your products using tokens. You probably have heard this non-fungible tokens, NFTs. They made news recently, specifically for artwork. So basically, blockchain works with the digital assets, and this is where I'll go next in the next part. But what is a token? Token is a digital representation of some physical object. For example, an artwork can be scanned, a 3D scan. This 3D scan becomes a token. It can be sold, and you can always know who is the owner of this particular artwork. Because blockchain prevents the problem that exists with currencies before, the double spending. That's the power of it for cryptocurrencies, and also power for managing any digital asset. Two people cannot own the same asset if it is recorded on blockchain. Okay. All right, I think I'll take a break. This is the part one, and the next one will be part two. Any questions so far? I can see that.
Tanya, hi, thanks very much for that. It's much clearer now. Julian here, Julian Bennett.
Thank you.
You did mention that no one is centrally responsible for the data, but surely someone must be the judge. That you say we can only ever see the truth, the factual document, but who ensures that that is so?
So blockchain does not check what information goes on it. Yeah, like with a real database, with a conventional database, they say garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
With the blockchain, the saying is garbage in, garbage forever. So the person who puts the information on the blockchain is responsible for correctness of this information. So if I am the lab and I put my assay certificate on the blockchain, I am responsible. But if later, somebody finds out that the information I put in there is incorrect, I have no way to say, no, actually, I didn't put that. This is what I put. I think that's where the blockchain, comes in, that if somebody, points out, you cannot say that you haven't done it. It is your responsibility forever.
But if I'm the investor and I'm looking at a data set, a mineral resource,
Yes.
well, let's say a mineral reserve, even more specific.
Yeah.
Can I tell at any one stage? You said if somebody's made a boo-boo halfway down, unless they're found out, you don't know. I'm the investor. How do I know the current correctness of that data?
Well, that's just it. That's exactly the application that I see. Now we have our reports, submitted, and they all have a stamp on them, right? So this is report, it has a stamp, and it has a signature of qualified person, right? And our trust to this report comes from the signature of qualified person and from the stamp. But how do you know that it is that same PDF and nothing has been changed? Some critical information of some intersection. Say you have a model, a 3D model for your resource estimate, and somebody decides to bump up a number in this one critical intersection just so that the whole resource looks good.
Yeah.
And this action will then be recorded, and they will not be able to say, no, I didn't do that, because this is the file, your 3D model, and it has this hash. And if you change one number, it will have a completely different hash, completely different, and that's it.
But I'm the investor. I've just sunk a couple of $1 million into this. What comeback do I get?
You can check that the report that is given to you is the original report and nothing has been changed.
Okay.
Yeah, so the report was submitted at some point, right, by the mining company, for example, to a stock exchange, right?
Yeah.
Then you come in, and how do you know that the report they give to you is exact same report?
It's got to be, as per your discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
thank you.
that is exactly it. And actually, I've talked with some people, said, oh yeah, actually that just happened to us. Somebody changed, a line in an assay certificate.
Yeah, we all know these things.
And the idea is that this assay certificate, as an investor, you actually don't get it from the company anymore. You get it directly from the lab.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Understand.
the lab submits the certificate on the blockchain platform, and and as an investor, you have the right to see it, and this is exactly what you see. And it came
So
directly.
you can actually see more as an investor than you could with the old-fashioned document, in a way.
Well, these are the things about the architecture of the setup. There are rules, you might not need to see everything. That's the kind of, you need to set up who has right to what.
Sure.
But once it is set up, then.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. How can a digital certificate safely link to a core sample? Yes, I will go through that. So basically, blockchain platform is a system for managing digital assets. We need to convert our physical assets into digital ones. That is the next part of my presentation. I will go into that. Anything else?
Tanya, Caroline is asking, can the data be changed if there is a mistake?
Yes, by agreement, yes, of the parties, of course, yeah. Basically, people who use bigger systems, they know the DocuSign, and DocuSign also records, all the changes. The difference with the blockchain that it will be, the very changes will be, recorded forever. But it is mind-blowing to me too. How can that be? How do these systems not crash? But we will have a demonstration in the end of second part. I think the trick is that the actual file is not loaded onto blockchain. What is loaded on a blockchain is just this hash, just this 256 symbols. And so you don't need a supercomputer to participate in blockchain system. A regular computer can manage that.
Wonderful.
Tanya,
We've had another question about automatic data collection, and for example, when data is input into the distributed ledger application without human bias. So basically, Lev has asked, Tanya, can you please comment on automatic data collection, Internet of Things, for example, when data is input into distributed ledger application without human bias?
This is brilliant. Great question. IoT and blockchain are made for each other because exactly there is no human interaction. So the information from IoT can go directly onto blockchain, and you can verify that it is correct. Moreover, they now verify that IoT is in order. So for example, I talked to a company in Italy, and what they do is they put on a blockchain information from the IoT devices that measure movement of the bridge constructions. You know, in Florence, they had the problem where the bridge collapsed, and of course that was a big disaster. So now they have these devices on the bridges that report to the blockchain platform the instability of the bridge, and so that is one application. Of course, for vaccine distribution, IoT devices are installed in all the vehicles that carry around the vaccine, and they measure the temperature because the temperature can never be more than -70. So they have an IoT device in the vehicle that reports all the time that the temperature is correct, so that's also being used on blockchain. So yeah, IoT and blockchain, absolutely. The less human interference, the better. Okay.
And then we've got one more question. Is there a database where people can look for miners that are currently in the blockchain database?
Sorry, say it again.
Is there a database where people can look for miners that are currently in the blockchain database?
Is there a database?
We might have to get Louise to expand on that question.
Yeah.
If she's here.
So I'm super new to blockchain, so what I'm saying probably makes no sense, but anytime I try to talk to someone that's like dealing gems, they don't really have the information on where it came from sometimes, and I'm just wondering if there's like somewhere that I can go online to see if there are active members of the blockchain that are, providing that and allowing me to choose from what they have.
Absolutely, yes. So several companies are working specifically in gemstones, famously Everledger. They track their gemstones. Of course, De Beers and Alrosa track their diamonds. One of the things that we've done at Kamni since September last year, we're running these webinars called Blockchain in Mining, and several of the companies that track origins of, well, specifically gemstones that you're asking, they track the gemstones from the mine site all the way to the consumer. So I will mention that actually is the most common application. This is where blockchain in mining began. So yeah, I don't know the specific companies you're working with, but certainly many companies work on that. And I will be mentioning that, so just hold on. Stay with us. Thank you. So, okay, that was one of the questions about the digital certificates to a core sample or any physical asset that needs to become digital before it can go on blockchain. So paper documents, you know, easy, just a scan of it or a photo. Files, if they're already digital, good. Images, like at first I thought, well, how do they do that with a map, but you know, image? But yeah, it's just a digital file, so it can be done. More tricky ones, gemstones, precious metal, gold bars, and concentrate, metal concentrate containers. How does that work? So there are several ways that we're doing it. There we go, Everledger, diamonds, one of the first kind of application of blockchain. So they create this digital certificate that follows this diamond from the mine. You can see diamond in the rough, and then all the way through the cut stone. So they do a 3D scan and a very detailed photograph of that diamond, and with it they create a digital certificate that is unique to that diamond, and then it follows it through the whole chain as it is cut. They record the most minute detail of the property of that diamond on their certificate, so that they at the end they can, on the app, on the phone app, and they love that, they all love that, on the phone app the customer can pick it up and say that it was mined on that day in that mine, even by that miner. It was then cut in this place by this, you know, diamond cutter, all the way through. So this is Everledger, and on every slide where you see at the bottom there www.blockchainandmining.com, you can see the presentation of this company on the website, because all the presentations are recorded and available for you to view. The idea is to explain to as many people in mining as possible what blockchain is, so that hopefully they will then want to implement it, and we will be more than happy to help you on the journey. So this is one. Now, there are companies that apply DNA solution, or they call it a formula, in the form of spray. So Helixa is one of such companies from Switzerland. What they do is they create this spray with a unique DNA in it, and they apply it to any material. Famously, recently, they came out with spraying it on gold. And then they track this gold from the mine site to the refiner. It is lost during the refining process, so they have to reapply it, but there are ways to nevertheless track it through as it comes through the refiner. And then they reapply it, and then they will again track it through all the travels of this particular gold bar. So again, I invite you to look for information online, but it is being done, for example, with the DNA markers. Now, a company called, Source Certain, I'm hoping to have them on one of our webinars shortly. They've been working for some time, mainly working actually for police cases, but they have
dijital varlıklarla ilgili konuşma yapıyorlar. Artık bütün dünyayı dinleyebiliyorsun. Amerika'yı dinledim. Bugün ECB'yi dinledim.
Turn off the mic, please.
Could the person who's got their mic on just switch it off, please? That would be very grateful.
So I just turned it off. So
yeah, so this TSW trace is their method, and they are able by trace elements somehow determine the exact location of where materials are coming from. I don't know yet how they do it, but they do it. So there is a way to do it. Somehow some super fine elements that are unique to each location. So I'm hoping to have them on one of our webinars. I'll be talking to them on Monday. With the already made metals, the technology that I just learned about, it's called coil DNA. It is applied to aluminium coils. I think it is an Austrian company that came up with that. They put on this continuous string of numbers on the metal plate, and from just 14 numbers, you can identify this unique aluminium roll, and then they put that on blockchain. Also, of course, QR codes, obviously, that is very commonly used. QR codes, and also one of the companies that presented at our blockchain and mining webinar is called iTrace, and they do hatching. So they basically do like a set of scratches that are very, very resistant to tampering, and so better than QR code because it cannot be falsified. QR codes, unfortunately, now can be falsified, but this iTrace technology cannot. So there are ways, but yes, you need to convert from your physical to a digital asset. So your core sample, if you put it in a bucket and you attach this code to the bucket, then this is your digital, certificate for your core sample. So blockchain is already in mining and has been for some time, not a huge amount of time, but nevertheless. It started, first of all, in the diamond industry. De Beers and Alrosa came together, cooperated, and created a product called Tracer. So it tracks diamonds from the origin all the way to the consumer. I would imagine the technology is similar to what I just showed with Everledger, with a 3D scan of the rough diamond and then following it through every step of the way. And I think there was another reason for them to do that as well, not just to show that there are no blood diamonds anymore. That's, of course, the primary reason, to show that their diamonds come from responsible mines. But another thing, I would imagine it makes very difficult to sell stolen diamonds, because diamonds stolen is a big problem. A significant proportion of diamonds can be stolen, but now if you cannot prove the origin of your diamond, you can't sell it for the same price. So that was one of the first applications. Blockchain and supply chain continuation. There was a lot of negative press of cobalt coming from Democratic Republic of Congo, being mined by children. All major car manufacturers wanted to prove that they do not use bad cobalt, that their cobalt comes from industrial good mines, responsibly sourced. And so the group called RCS Global, together with Glencore, came up with the Responsible Sourcing Blockchain Initiative. And this initiative has been working for, I don't know, a couple of years. All of that is pretty new. Nothing is very old, but nevertheless, it has been established, a while ago. And so a lot of these final, car manufacturers now want to show that where their cobalt is coming from, and okay, and how they do it. Again, this is the tracking from mine, using the IoT devices, using the GPS trackers, using face recognition of the miners who are allowed to mine on site, tracking the vehicle all the way, so it cannot stop. They limit, it has to be within 20 minutes to the processing plant, so that nothing can be added, nothing can be taken away, replaced, etc., etc. It is being done. They're not too keen to share exactly how they do it, but they do it. Company out of Berlin, a startup, MindSpider. They've been working for a while now. They started with tin in San Rafael in South America. They recently have announced their work with the Luna smelter in Rwanda, where they apply their solution called Ore Source, and they track the tin from this Luna smelter. Became the first smelter that does this certified on blockchain tin origin. So for coltan there. And this is, yeah, I first met actually with MineSpider in Berlin over 2 years ago, and since then they've expanded in more commodities and more countries. So that's one of them. Yeah, I already mentioned Everledger. They've expanded from diamonds into other gems as well. They also do now wine and a variety of luxury goods. Yeah, also gold, I think they do. Again, you can learn about it, and that not only they show that, you know, it's not just blood diamonds, but also that they're all keen on sustainable production and responsible mining. So yeah, that's Everledger. Yeah, the company called Circular started in UK, now also have a big office in Germany. They've made a big presentation at one of our webinars. They track nickel, mica, cobalt, gemstones. They recently announced that they will be doing battery passport with Finnish Minerals Group. Of course, for car manufacturers, you can see Volvo cars here tracing the origins of their metals. So there is a lot of interest now from the car manufacturers, phone manufacturers, electronics manufacturers to prove to their buyers that their metals are good metals and produced in a sustainable manner. I have mentioned a responsible sourcing blockchain network with RCS Global. You can see the big names here. They've been working for a while. They do their blockchain on the Hyperledger platform. So this is a private blockchain run by IBM. So yeah, they've been tracking the variety of metals for all the big, you can see the names of their manufacturers. So gold on a blockchain, responsible gold. This was one of our presentations. We heard a presentation from R3 Corridor, which is a private blockchain network, one of the biggest ones. So we have a very good presentation. I encourage you to listen. They review the whole mining cycle. And Accedrus is the company that uses R3 Corridor network, and they track their gold bars and sell their gold bars on this network, and so you can you know, be sure where your gold bar is at that moment and the ownership, and so there you go. This will be our next speaker, a company from Australia, Blockhead Technologies. They have two products for asset management and sales. They're working with gold. They've been working for a number of years. So again, tracking of gold from mine to market, and precious metals, not just gold. So basically all of that is for tracking. There was a question there, you know, to check where the gems come from. So all of this is where it all kind of started, is to prove where our metals are coming from, supply chain origins of our metals, that part, kind of a mining cycle. And another end is for sales already. This is where the big companies come in. All three majors now announced that they are selling their concentrate, iron ore concentrate, on blockchain. So this one is BHP with BioSteel in China, using a startup from here in London in UK, MineHub. They're using the platform called Hyperledger, so the IBM platform, and they've recently did a $17 million sale on blockchain of iron ore concentrate to China. Rio Tinto, same with BioSteel, they're using R3 Corridor network blockchain platform, also selling iron ore concentrate. Vale also does it. Our latest webinar was with Nornickel, the largest platinum, palladium, nickel, copper producer in Russia. They've gone to the next step. They're now tokenizing their production. So they're selling their metals as tokens. The ownership of the metal can be sold not as a physical metal or some sort of futures, but as a tokens on a blockchain network. The company that is arranging that is called Atomize, and Global Palladium Fund based in Switzerland is now selling tokens of Palladium so far. They also use Hyperledger blockchain platform for that. So that's an IBM platform. And they announced that they will be selling up to 20% of their production as tokens in the future. It gives more flexibility. They can find more clients. It gives more flexibility for getting investment. And also what they do highlight again is that they can track where the metal comes from and all the kind of qualities of this metal, not just its chemical qualities, but also what is the CO2 input in this metal. So that's a big one, tracking the CO2 production, and also any sort of, you can attach to this digital certificate, you can anything, your health and safety records or your community input records, any information can go and can be shown to the final customer. Yeah, Rio Tinto, aluminum, they have now a sustainability label. So basically similar to what you find on your food packaging, everything that goes into it. They have this label now for their aluminum product that records, as you can see, environmental, social criteria, recorded transparency. So they have a product called START, and this is there. So blockchain in ESG compliance is now a big thing. I actually recently published on it, and actually also mining.com recently published on ESG compliance, because Robert Friedland came up with a statement that soon it will not be just copper price, it will be a green copper price and brown copper price. So how to prove that your copper is a green copper? You do it by tracking all the criteria and proving it by using a blockchain platform. Again, the companies that I already mentioned, Circular and Everledger, they are big on ESG compliance. You can see here a Rappaport report for diamonds, green is king. And also Circular works with a European company where they track the European produced lithium because it is more sustainable than the lithium produced elsewhere. So ESG is a big thing, and it is tracked on blockchain. Okay, and as promised, I hope now I'll be able to show you how blockchain works in reality. And this one is a presentation from a company from Austria. They do blockchain for tracking steel CO2 input. It's just general steel quality certificate, but also with the CO2 input. But in this particular one, it just shows you how actually simple it looks like. I hope you can hear it. Let me know if not.
And the secure elements that I've showed before come into place. But I don't want to talk too much about the technology concepts. I would rather like to show you how that could actually work and how that could actually look from a user point of view. So I will introduce you to one of our demo systems. So here we are in a role of a steel factory, as you can see. And in a, let me just start this presentation. So in a steel factory, you have a laboratory. You have basically, you can provide additional inspections to the physical material. You have a section where you can see the certificates that you have issued, and you have a section where you see the goods that you have issued. So what we do is that with each, let's say that when we produce physical steel, we get all the quality data of the material. So basically, that's the chemical composition that is provided with the melting of the material, and we provide information to our blockchain solution. And at this moment, we create a digital asset. We create at that example, it was 124 tons of steel with a dedicated chemical composition. You can see the transaction on the blockchain. And at that moment, we have created digital metal, so to say. Yeah. In the next section, I can show you that we can add any additional information to this digital asset. So in that example, I will add a certain carbon footprint to it that is then connected to this batch of material. Once the material is being created, the next step is to sell the material. Yeah. So here we are moving from the steel factory to, we're staying in the steel factory, and we basically go to the goods issued section. And if we sell material, we basically record the data of delivery nodes. So in the delivery nodes, we understand who is the customer, what is the batch of material that has been sold. Yeah. So we load one of our delivery nodes to our system, which is being done right now. And what happens here is that we split the digital asset. Yeah. So part of it stays within the steel factory, and another part, in that case 12 tons, are moved to the customer. Yeah. You can see again the transaction on the blockchain. Yeah. And all the metadata, like all the quality data that is connected to the original batch, is now used in the certificate. So now we can see that in the certificates issued, we have provided a certificate for the customer that contains all these material properties and quality information. So, yeah, and here you can also see in the goods issued section. So this way now we move to the customer, and in the goods received, certificates received section, now you can see that he has received a quality certificate related to that batch of materials. Also with this dedicated carbon footprint that we have added before. So this is how we track and the secure elements that I've showed you.
All right, and this is the demonstration of a blockchain. I hope everybody could hear. Stefan from S17 giving this demonstration, and I hope you were amazed at how primitive it looks. And realistically, all the blockchain solutions I've seen so far, they look very simple really at this point. I think we're at the very beginning of this, and we don't know where it will take us. Just like when the internet first appeared, we didn't know where it will take us. They didn't know it will take us to the webinars when we were sending our first, one-line emails. So I think with blockchain, we don't know where it will take us yet, but this is where it is now, and it is looks very simple. So this is the end of my second part. So please, I'm looking forward to your questions.
Tanya, I'm going to start off with a question. This to me looks like just one massive data room. I mean, but it's not really, is it? It's because it's all code at the end of the day.
The blockchain, the information that is on the blockchain is just one massive list of hashes. The original, certificates are, attached to it. So yeah, it is. So in the words of Andy Martin from IBM, who is my blockchain hero in terms of explaining to the dunces what blockchain is a governance technology. It governs the digital data and digital assets. It keeps the record who owns what and who gave what to whom. That's what it is.
It's still complicated. I don't know about you, but it's still complicated.
It is complicated for me as well. This is why I was nervous about the part 1 questions, I guess. You know, I don't pretend that I understand the real inner workings, but at the same time, you know, computer, I don't really understand how computer works, but it works for me. So with the blockchain, I understand the potential. I understand the potential of you know, this single source of truth. I will talk about it a little bit later. But just like we discussed in the beginning, when everybody, so for example, with these IoT devices, I was thinking in terms of application, for example, for tailings dams, the recording of the humidity, right, or amount of moisture in the tailings dam, if it is measured by IoT device and transmitted straight on the blockchain, so that not just the company, you know, who manages the tailings dams, but also, you know, maybe a governmental authority or even the local community can see it all the time, and they know that it is true, that it has not been tampered with. This is where I see potential, even if I don't exactly imagine, you know, how can it, you know, when I think of this, yes, I know that the number of these hashes seemingly, you know, what is it, 256 symbols, but apparently the number of hashes is more than atoms in the universe. So it is impossible to duplicate them. So this is where I have to just trust the mathematicians who came up with that. And we know that it works because actual blockchain platforms themselves were never broken. People lost money because they lose their information, that is, which is their private key, the entrant kind of window in the blockchain. But the blockchain system itself is super reliable. It has never been broken.
Wonderful. Now we've had a question come in from Ellen. How do you audit this process, internal audit and external audit? And that actually leads on very well to another question, you know, who validates that the information is correct? How does that happen? And are there any consequences to the wrong information provided on the certificate?
Yeah, in terms of who validates, these are the rules that are set up. So we will be talking, let's talk now just about the private network, right, where the participants come into the blockchain. Let's leave alone the public one for now, but the participants come in and they agree who submits what information at what time, and what information will need to be verified by everybody. So the blockchain algorithm will keep track of all the transactions and everything that has been submitted, so that any participant at any point can verify that the document that, for example, you know, let's say I'm a company that is selling concentrate to the buyer, and I sent the certificate onto blockchain saying that this, you know, concentrate has, you know, so much copper in it, and then the buyer does their own assay, and they find out that there is not as much copper, right? And they submit their information and onto the blockchain. The advantage of having blockchain is once the information has been submitted, this particular file, then this company cannot say at a later date, oh, actually, no, that's not the file. Sorry, that's the wrong file. We actually meant this one, right? So you can only lie once. I mean, you will be caught. That's the advantage of a blockchain. And in terms of who verifies it, it is verified in terms of encryption. it is mathematical algorithm. It's not a person. It's blockchain removes the authority, the need for your umpire lab, if you like, or the need for your verification mechanism that where you have somebody, you know, going through your report and, you know, checking that everything is, you know, true and correct. Not immediately, of course, not right away, but eventually it creates this responsibility for what you've submitted forever and ever. We were discussing, you know, with exploration geologists, we were brainstorming and we were thinking, you know, if you're a qualified person and you submit a report and you say, you know, I submit the resource of, you know 10,000 tons, you know, of whatever, later, you know, they start mining and they only have 5,000 tons. I can't go back and say, oh, no, I didn't say that, because that information, that actually, you know, resource system, everything, it's unchangeable. So yeah, I don't know if is that enough, or should I talk more?
Yeah. Did we answer your question, Ellen and Louise? I think we did. Yes, thumbs up.
So in terms of the outside, I think for now, it will still, you know, we'll still need our, you know, QPs and everything for now. But eventually, your track record, you know, it stays with you, the verification inside the system is done, yeah, by verifying the actual, you know, files that were submitted to it. So, okay, all right. Anyway, I'll stop for now.
We have another question about power requirements. So we've got two. We've got one that says, what happens in the event of a major power outage and or surge that could damage or wreck the digital storage centers? And what are the chances of being hacked for ransomware by state actors or clever Russian, Chinese, North Koreans and all?
Yeah, the blockchains have not been hacked, like I mentioned. Because of that system where the hash of the previous transaction is included in the hash of the next one all the time. So because of that, blockchains have never been hacked. Nobody was able to introduce another transaction into the existing blockchain. So that did not happen. So that's out. If internet goes out, that's end of the story, but the internet will have to go out for pretty much, you know, the whole planet kind of thing. You know, it will have to go out for all the, you know, all those anyway who participate at the same time. And this is why, you know, actually blockchain is a more secure storage, because even if one of actors, you know, wants to pull out, all the others have the copy of all the database. Now, the trick is if you only submit the hashes, and you do only submit the hashes to the database, if, for example, you have all this valuable information, you know, certificates, etc., only one company has it, they will have to give it to others before they, you know, pull away. Again, the advantage of blockchain, you will know if anything was done before they pulled away. Yeah, you will be able to verify that it's not this original file.
So I guess, does that mean there's a backup somewhere at any given time?
Well, the actual blockchain, because it is stored on all the computers, that's the backup, you know.
That's the backup. Yeah.
There is more to it. So, for example, for the cryptocurrencies, because the system is so gigantic, they have now developed a mechanism that they don't verify all the transactions all of the time. They only verify the new ones. Somehow, I don't know exactly, but this is about cryptocurrencies. I don't know if that applies to enterprise blockchain, but power requirements not an issue for enterprise blockchain, because there is not of this, there's no this mining, there's no need for mining, because you don't need to earn any cryptocurrencies for enterprise blockchain. So that is not an issue. We don't need to worry about that.
And then Sue's asking, I'm not sure how there is a difference in the power requirement of this blockchain versus the centralized data like Bitcoin. They're both using multiple computer powers.
Yeah, so the Bitcoin uses a lot of power because in order to get a new block of transactions on the chain, it is a requirement that the computer that wants to add the new block after they verify the transaction, they need to solve a cryptographic puzzle, very difficult cryptographic puzzle. And this is where all the energy goes to. All the computers are sitting there, they're trying to figure out a particular string of numbers. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into that, but they need to come up with a string of numbers that starts with 4 zeros or more. And the more computers are involved in the network, the more difficult this puzzle becomes, because the computer that solves this puzzle gets the honor of adding a new block on the blockchain, new block of data. They're getting paid for it. And this is what they're competing for. They're competing for the prize. They're solving this cryptographic puzzle. In order to solve this cryptographic puzzle, they have this huge now computer farms. They join their efforts, many miners join their efforts, and in order to win this money. And it actually has become now so expensive that only the best can actually earn Bitcoin anymore. You can't earn anything if you're just running from, you know, one computer anymore. So only the blockchains that work on proof of work, they are the ones that burn a lot of electricity. Already the ones that work on proof of stake, they don't need that. And also the enterprise blockchain, where no cryptocurrency is involved altogether, there is no need for mining. The power requirements are just not an issue at all.
Wonderful. Well, we've got no more questions at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's already quite late, and I appreciate if people. Yeah, okay, I have only 10 minutes to look into the future. Oh my God, let's move on. So I promised that there'll be a fairy tale in the end. So here comes in our fairy tale hero. He's called Mining the Giant in the middle of the picture, and he's surrounded by these blockchain fairies. And these blockchain fairies are helping all different industries all around him. They're helping the real estate industry, they're helping construction industry, they're helping logistics industry, they're helping people who need to verify credentials, and of course data management. And Mining the Giant is thinking, how can a blockchain fairy help me if all my mining process is essentially a combination of all these different industries? So for real estate, of course, as a miners, our real estate is our licenses, our mining licenses, and let's look what is happening in the blockchain world in a real estate business. This is just one example. Japanese real estate company Rudin Holdings is using smart contracts for property sales. The company emphasizes smart contracts eliminate the need for manual work and conditions, adding that it's not only to improve the efficiency of operations, but also to prevent unforeseen circumstances, meaning that once the deal terms are embedded in the smart contract, they become immutable. You will hear the word immutable often when you talk about blockchain. That's back to the fact that you cannot change something without others knowing about it. Construction industry. In France, bridges are being designed using building information modeling system and blockchain by tech startup BIM Chain IO. Benefits are an output of quality and accountable BIM product. Smart contracts can be drawn up and payments automated to ensure that stakeholders are committed to achieving their stated outcomes. It is also possible that insurers might reduce premiums given the additional financial security built into projects. So basically the point of that is to say that it is being used by other industries. Come on, miners, look. Shipments and logistics. We actually worked with a company called DLT Labs out of Canada. They are working with Walmart The savings when they introduced the blockchain system for managing Walmart shipments. Okay, invoice disputes dropped from over 70% to below 2%, so 97% decrease. So it's a huge savings of costs. Maersk and IBM started venture to establish a global blockchain-based system for digitizing trade workflows and end-to-end shipment tracking. The system allows each stakeholder in the supply chain to view the process of goods through the supply chain, understanding where a container is in transit. Stakeholders can also see the status of customs documents and can view bills of lading and other data. Blockchain technology ensures secure data exchange and a tamper-proof repository for this documentation. Of course, same things now can be applied for mining shipments. Credentials, here is a credential of me as a professional geologist. So there's a company called BlockCert, which is a, okay, if I can move that, yeah. So it's an open standard for creating, issuing, viewing, verifying blockchain-based certificates. Digital records are registered on blockchain, cryptographically signed, tamper-proof, and shareable. Okay, and where are we? Here, yeah, last but not least, we have participated with my team in the hackathon that was initiated by Canadian Blockchain Supply Chain Association. We submitted our proposal for managing mineral assay data on blockchain, a blockchain system created by DLT Labs. And so the idea that I already described a little bit, that the data from the lab is available to all the stakeholders as a single source of truth. And fortunately, we were lucky to win the hackathon. Actually, it was our winning entry. So the solution hopefully will be developed in a foreseeable future. Okay. And this is the end of my presentation. I did promise to explain to you the blockchain pot of borscht. The reason for that is, I know you already said it, that it is difficult. When I started learning about blockchain, I started, accumulating information, put it all in one huge Word document, and then I created this word cloud. From this word cloud, I created this output, which I called blockchain borscht, because of course I'm from Russia and I'm wearing actually a beetroot themed shirt right now. It does create such a mess in your brain, but it is a very edible and very useful mess. And I hope that you've learned something today. And there is much more information on our website, and I invite you to follow our webinars. I invite you to join our LinkedIn group, Blockchain and Mining, where we announce all the webinars. Join our list, and let's do it together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya. That was absolutely fascinating. And I actually feel like I'm going away today with a little bit more information once again. And that's the thing about blockchain. You learn a little bit more every time. So just a small plug from us at Women in Mining. If you haven't heard of us, or if you'd like to become a member, please do. We are a volunteer-run, not-for-profit organization which promotes the employment, retention, and progress of women in the mining industry. Everyone is welcome to become a WIM UK member, regardless of gender or where you are located in the world. Please go to our website. Membership is free. And just in case you're interested, our next Women in Mining event is sponsored by Deloitte and will be held next week on Thursday, the 20th of May at 6 p.m. Closing the trust deficit through ESG and a commitment to a low carbon future. So please do go back onto our website for all the details and to register. From all of us at Women in Mining, I'm going to say a big thank you to Tanya and also to MinSouth for having put together today's event. I'm going to hand over now to Mike from MinSouth, who has a few words to finish us off today.
Thank you, Anon, and thank you, Women in Mining, for coming to our little virtual conference room for tonight's meeting. I would just like to say a couple of things. Our next meeting is our prestige lecture. It's going to be spoken by Owen Millop from Cornish Metals, and he's going to be talking about tin, and that will include South Crofty. So we're very much looking forward to that. I'll put a slide on here saying reasons why to join MinSouth. We've got safe virtual meetings, technical meetings which count towards CPD and vacancies in MinSouth Council. So I think that's a good enough reason to join MinSouth. There's a link for newsletters at the foot of the MinSouth events page if you want to be kept up to date. Okay, thank you.
Just like to add to that those vacancies in the MinSouth Council are open to women, please.
Oh, yes, we like that. Well done. Well
Okay.
done. Well, we can promote that. That's wonderful. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Are we all going to show our appreciation for Tanya's talk tonight?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Women Mining. That was a pleasure. And I hope I clarified something in this very difficult topic, but it's coming.
We're all going to go to your LinkedIn page now, Tanya, and check out all the webinars.
Please do. Excellent. This is why they're there. Please do. And the next one is May 25th. Yeah, but the information is there. And join LinkedIn group as well. Let's talk about it. Let's ask you questions. That's how we learn.
Lovely.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Have a good evening, everybody.